Hello and welcome to chapter 189 of the DC Alliance podcast. With me, as always, is Joe. Joe, how you doing this evening?
Before I get to that, quick hello to Andrew because he's already in the chat. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Hey, Andrew.
We're doing great. Well, actually, we're about ready to say how we're doing. Um, I'm doing good. I have the week off from work because we are out of parts,
Ooh,
so work
oh,
shut down. Yeah. You're probably like money. No,
we'll
no
do
money. No
vacation.
unemployment. Yeah. So I spent today cleaning out my garage. I'm going to spend tomorrow cleaning and rearranging my basement. So you guys will not be seeing, in theory, you guys will not be seeing my lovely comics back here anymore. You'll be seeing something else. Probably. Maybe. We'll see.
Ooh, I stand intrigued of that
Yeah.
possibility. It's
We'll
always
learn
cool
when
to
the next.
redecorate. When you redecorate, it's almost like you get a whole new room or a whole new house,
It's not
depending on
even
how far you go with
redecorating.
it.
It's I'm moving everything from here over there. And like I already have some stuff on the wall, but I'm moving locations in my basement is all I'm doing.
Well, I consider that redecorating, Joe. We're debating we have the TV facing one way with the bookshelves, and we have the couch on the another way, two couches, and one of them is a circle couch that takes up a lot of room. Allison's complaining about it. Allison's one that wanted that couch from the beginning. I guess this is something I should get used to. But yeah, it's impossible to get it downstairs. It's like a giant circle. I don't even know how I would get it down here. I said I'd put it down here in the land of misfit toys and stuff.
So are we,
Uh,
Andrew.
but no,
How are you doing?
we're debating throwing it the other side, and just I think it's going to be a completely different room. I'm doing well now. I hit
Yeah,
COVID,
you had a rough weekend.
unfortunately. Yeah, I hit COVID Thursday. I started to not feel well, a little down, tired, had a fever all day Thursday. Back pretty good Friday into Saturday. Friday morning, I tested positive for COVID. So I bared off from my son on Thursday when I wasn't feeling well into Friday, and then he started to feel really not well Friday evening into Saturday, and then all day Saturday into Saturday
Yeah,
night.
that's
It
rough.
was rough. We were in contact with Allison's sister, who's a doctor, and she had us prepped up on the Advil and stuff, and what they would do for him, and if there was any, like if he wasn't having poops, or if he wasn't eating, if he wasn't having wet diapers, then you take him. None of that. He was just in a little bit of pain, and it was heartbreaking as a first-time parent. He was crying on Saturday morning, and I wish I could have cut my arm off and just took all the pain. But that wasn't possible, and there was basically nothing we could do. We were thinking we didn't know what it was for the longest time, and then ultimately it was a combination of sort needed to have bum change, eat, and have medicine, and then be walked around, soothe it. It all worked out. He's really on the mend today. I stayed home
Good.
an extra day
Good,
from
good, good.
work just to make sure, and he's really coming back to himself. So yeah, that was a crappy weekend. But as Andrew wrote in the chat, I am really excited to talk about DC. I wrote Joe, I think it was Saturday night after I started to feel better, and saying, "Man, it feels like we haven't podcasted in
No,
forever."
I think it was actually like Thursday when you were
Or
feeling bad.
Thursday, yeah, when I
Yeah.
started to feel bad, and I was like, it's been like forever since I missed the GUA crossover. I took 2 Tylenol, laid down. I was like, I'm gonna come to this. I wrote in the chat. I think I woke up like 2:30 in the morning or 3, and was like,
It was a pretty
what's
fun
going
chat.
on? Yeah,
Andrew was in the chat, which was fun. But it
oh,
was
that's
myself,
nice.
Chris, and Clay, and then Patreon Charlie showed up, and yeah,
Nice.
I know we talked about Ahsoka, we talked about Rebel Moon, we talked about Blue Beetle. Well, they talked about Blue Beetle because you know. Then we also talked about some more Massiveverse stuff that
Oh,
all four of us are really into. So we got that.
yeah,
We ended the show with the Massiveverse.
Charlie does a Radiant Black podcast as
Yes, he
well.
does.
Yes,
Radiant Black and the Rogue Sun podcast.
so yeah, it would make sense that all you guys wouldn't relate to that. I'm definitely sad that I missed that. I definitely will not miss the next one. Of course, I'm not planning on
Yeah.
contracting COVID anymore. I've been asking to work from home
Well,
for
plants either.
two to 3 months now, since a month after I started, because every other person, there's three other people that do my role in the company, and they all work from home. So I've been asking. I work with a laptop. The only person in the office that isn't the only person that isn't in an office that works with a laptop that can
Hmm.
work from home. Have my own spare monitor behind, like hid away, so that no one will take it on me. And I'm just hoping and begging every day. I had a classmate write me a couple hours ago saying I've worked from home for the last 2 weeks now, rubbing it in. Same company, infuriating me, Joe. I was like, well, my kid had COVID all weekend, so screw you. Don't leave me alone. So yeah, it was a rough weekend, but DC time. Andrew, I thought my recent weekend was rough. And we got a pretty cool, fun show, Joe. But before we
I
do
think
that,
so.
let me get the network plugs out of the way super quick. I'm very excited to talk about my adventures with Superman. I watched those today, and oh my god, that'll be the main course before we get to the appetizer here. We are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance with 7 shows in total. And Mondays bi-weekly is Ranger Alliance, and Tuesdays is DC Alliance, and Wednesdays is the Animation Nation, and Thursdays is Star Wars Alliance, and Fridays is Marvel Alliance, and Saturdays bi-weekly is a walk through the multiverse, and Sundays monthly is World's Finest True Believers, which came out with a new episode this week with Travis Snell. So check that one out.
Talk
Obviously,
about Moon Knight.
monthly plug that's going to be part of my walk tomorrow with the dog. So I'm excited to check that one out. DC Alliance goes live on the Geekverse YouTube channel Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Star Wars Alliance goes live Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And stick with them. They're covering Ahsoka right now. They're going through the entirety of that. Every new episode, they'll be covering it. So stick with them. It's a fun discussion. I haven't caught the second episode of Ahsoka yet, so I'm still have their podcast in the queue ready to listen to. I really love the first one. So, Joe, did you watch both of them already?
I've watched both. Oh yeah, we talked. We talked about Ahsoka on the crossover. Yeah, if you haven't watched both episodes, you might want to hold off on.
Yeah, there's a whole
lot.
there's a podcast moratorium until I get that second episode, which I'm planning to watch while I do the editing tonight.
There you go. Yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed it. It's very. I mean, this is literally just Rebel season 5, and I'm here for it.
That's music to most fans' ears. So we also have Marvel Alliance guys going live Thursdays at 9:10 p.m. Eastern Time. All 3 of those shows also have their own podcast feeds. Search Marvel Alliance, DC Alliance, or Star Wars Alliance if you just want Marvel content, DC content, or Star Wars content only. But if you want all 8 shows on the GUA Podcast Network, stay subscribed to the GUA on your podcast app of choice. We also have a Patreon, 2 tiers, a $1 tier and a $5 tier. The $1 tier is basically tip jar, like we're doing. You want to help us out any way you can. And $5 tier is where you get your extras. You get your ad-free episodes, early access episodes, and Patreon exclusive episodes. Myself and Joe go through the DC films through the years. Steel is going to drop for the patrons at the end of this month. Because of my COVID, it hasn't been edited yet, so hold off on that. It'll come Wednesday or Thursday. So
you had a busy weekend.
I had a busy wrench thrown in since Wednesday night. I started getting a headache. I guess that was the precursor. Yeah, and we have Chris and Brent, the Marvel Alliance guys, doing their Infinity Saga rewatch. So stick with them. They're covering all the Infinity Saga. We have Clay going through shows for the first time, Katie going through Star Wars comic with her husband, and Joe's Multiverse Minutes.
Which I got my 30+ days of Halloween coming up real soon. So,
oh my God, Halloween is in a month and a couple days.
Correct. Like we're almost done with August, and September is right around the corner.
I'm gonna get to dress up my kid in a Halloween costume. Oh my gosh!
You can dress up your dog in a Halloween costume too.
He's not really one for that kind of stuff. It's hard enough to get the harness on him to go for a while. I don't know. Maybe Allison might try it.
It was fun. I think last weekend or maybe the weekend before. Actually, I think it was the weekend before. Emily was just driving around town and saw that Spirit Halloween was already open, and of course,
there's one open here. There's one open here.
Cool. Yeah, it's the middle of August. Why is it open already?
I know. I'm like, there's even one on this island. I heard
Nothing matters. I still went and looked at it.
I didn't at the time, but I will be hitting that up for sure. Yeah. So we thank everyone that's a patron. If you're not a patron, if you can take a quick 30 to 60 seconds, rate and review the podcast on your podcast app of choice, it's always greatly appreciated. It helps other people find the show, and that's always a good thing. Okay, Joe. We had a movie that we reviewed. We want to thank Clay, Fanboy Clay, for joining us again. That was a fun discussion about a film that we all enjoyed. So check that out. Andrew says there's a spirit of Halloween in his backyard.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, so there's a little bit of fallout from Blue Beetle. It's not performing as Joe and I hoped, more as it was predicted. It didn't do.
Yeah.
It was number 1 the first week, but not a big lot of cash. And then in the second week, it was it got 51.1% drop to 12.2 million from the second weekend. It was DC's 4th best hold in DCEU's history. So it's eyeing a 75 to 90 million US run. It's 45.7 million cumulative already for US. I think it'll make back its money.
Barely.
But I don't think it's going to embolden anyone to take any more chances with this character in a solo setting for a while.
It's going to be a situation where if we get this character in the DCU, like Gunn had suggested, and I have no reason to believe we won't.
Safran was a producer.
Yeah. Um, you're right. We won't get a solo movie right now. Now, doesn't mean we can't get a solo project. Like if this could be a limited series on I'm sorry, Max. Like I think that would work. That'd be kind of fun. That'd be kind of cool. You could expand the character out more. But yes, I think it's going to be one of those situations where he will be a supporting character in another movie in the future.
It can be the reverse of what they do with Miss Marvel, where they brought her from television into the films,
Yeah,
because you can do. I know they talked about a Booster Gold Blue Beetle show.
and they've got the Booster Gold movie,
Yeah.
so like
I think
that's
that
where
was a
I think we'll see
combination of
him.
the 2. I think we could see him, yeah, like, I see him, he could be a full proponent of a booster. You could make that into a show on Max, where the first episode or 2 is Booster Gold, and Booster Gold going to find Blue Beetle and finding out that Tid's missing, and that could be their essential
Well,
first season,
look,
is going to
look,
find Tid.
no, because he's missing because Booster Gold took him to the future or the past, and that's why he's missing.
You could do
Like I
that as
said in the show.
well. You could have do, but that is hard to portray for a show, to have him out there. Then how's Blue Beetle going to find him?
Look,
How are
I'm
we
just
going to?
saying it I think that the blue and gold happened. This is why Ted's gone because of Booster, and it's going to be him having coming back, to get Jaime. And it's like, hey, you've got the Scarab. The Scarab can track Ted because he was like I lost him in the time stream. He
Okay,
slipped out or
yeah,
something.
that is okay. Yes, I can work with that. That
Yeah,
would make sense. You just have to have a way to have Booster come upon
Jaime.
Jaime
Yeah,
without having him be with Dan. So
I
he
think
needs to
it's
go find it.
yeah, I think it's gonna be my personal opinion. It's he's coming to Jaime to help him find Ted because Jaime's got the Scarab and Ted had a connection to the Scarab.
And Andrew asked me because he in an animated series, not initially, because I honestly I feel like these are one of the few characters that is already established in like established with the general audience. Not a like a okay, established isn't has already appeared with the general audience that is going to go forward to DCU. I don't think
Yeah, but
Gunn's going to want to.
it doesn't have to be a new
You,
series. Like he
sorry,
could
I could
pop.
see him in it. Sorry, I could see
Yeah.
him. I thought he meant next. I don't see him in it next, Andrew. I see him in an actual live action property, whether it be a series or a
Okay.
film. But could see him in an animated series down the line. Yes, for sure. Especially where Gunn said he wanted to integrate the 2. But with the poor performance, Joe, I wanted to ask you. We talked about this going into this film too. Do you think DC has a image problem with the general audience? Do you think it's just some of these characters aren't big, well established characters, and that's probably what they need initially? Uh, I'm really interested to hear your take here, because we haven't discussed this before.
We have it.
We
We've skirted around it in
we
the
skirted
past.
around it a little bit.
Um I hate to say that they don't, but you're right. Like the last handful of movies have been misses, and one of those was a big member of the Justice League with
Mhm.
characters of the Justice League in the movie. So, yeah, maybe they do have a branding problem, or maybe I've said in the past, maybe everybody's just kind of tired of DC. Like they're just waiting for for Guns DCU. Like that could be. I mean, that's gonna be the be all end all. I think if and we're gonna talk about it here in a minute with Superman Legacy, but like I think everybody's just hey, we're done with this. Marvel's still coming out, even though Marvel isn't doing great, but like their numbers have been down the last handful of movies. But I also think that is fatigue from having so much put out in so little time.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
still
so
watch Secret Invasion.
yeah, well,
Got to watch it for the Marvel. So,
you know,
uh,
yeah, just go do a recap. You'll be fine.
man of recaps.
Exactly. So yeah, I think it's definitely not looking good. It's not looking in their favor
Mhm.
because everything they've done, all of the marketing they've pushed out, and still we're getting these lackluster box office openings for for basically good movies. Blue Beetle was good. Flash. The Flash numbers have been growing on streaming. People are watching it, and I'm seeing comments on Facebook. I'm seeing comments on Twitter like, "Hey, there's some wonky stuff here, but I still enjoy the movie." So like, just people. I think what it is, yes, image is there, branding is there, but I think people are now used to I don't have to see it in theaters. I'm going to wait for the convenience of my own home. And that's the problem. They need to be able to get them out to make them get them in theaters. And hopefully Cinnamon will be that. But I honestly don't know anymore.
Make an event of it, like you're saying. Like make it to be a place that you need to see. And I agree with you. I know Brent Marvel Alliance co-host has asked this in the chat before. We've talked about it. I think he's even asked us. Maybe that's
part of us personally. And I think I brought it up like 3 different episodes because I answered initially, and then like a week later I was thinking about it and I answered differently. Like I had changed my mind.
The whole talking to the other nerds of the office, like DC isn't their main fandom nerdage, but if you're a nerd, you'll go see relative like a lot of things. A lot of them said like really were put off by DC, which they're saying like unless it's Joker or Batman kind of deal. What they don't even know what DC has going on. So I do think that there is problems here. You just look at the last few box office. It's just really startling when you look at it. How opening weekend has gone from pretty impressive to the last 3 films, 1, 2, 3 here.
Wasn't Black Adam like a big box office opening?
The Black Adam got 67 million, and now that is what DC is considering a big opening in the US.
Okay.
Which is, like I said, I gotta say, while I enjoyed both Blue Beetle and Flash, I do sit there, and I know there's like not every nerd watches sports, but there's a sports documentary, The Last Dance, Michael Jordan, and there's an iconic meme where he's looking at the iPad and laughing and giggling, and I can't help it. Every time I see a tweet from somebody that's like, I can't understand how they like this, why isn't it more successful, I do kind of chuckle, because Warner Brothers went down this road of listening to critics and people that didn't like one thing and saying we're going to go to another thing that's more popular. And then you go and look at the numbers, and I just laughed at 866 million is something that they would probably give up their firstborns for at this point in time.
All I'm saying is that they could have easily been done with the Snyderverse stuff 3 years ago if they just let him have his vision. But no.
So it's really giggle. It was funny. I just laughed at that. But it is a problem here. S Bub says, do you think the Suicide Squad releasing on Max in 2021 is part of the issue? Like maybe a lot of people saw that a really great movie on streaming, and then the theatrical DC movies haven't been as good. That is definitely a possibility. Yes, but I do think the whole day and date thing, while I was happy, especially as someone that was didn't have Max, but the whole day and date thing, I think it did do harm, because a lot of people now are like, I can suck up the 30-day window and I'll get the streaming thing eventually anyway. They're going to end up there. Most time it was 30. Now it's kind of gone back to 45, possibly 51. Like it's gone longer and longer.
Like 2 months kind of thing. Yes and no. Like it definitely, obviously the day and date model was a thing because of COVID. It came out because they had these movies already made, already just sitting there waiting, and they couldn't put it in theaters. So they're going to try to make money to get you to the streaming service. And they make the streaming service, and they got people on the service. They got the money that way. Now it's both. It is a hindrance because now, like you said, people are waiting. They have no problem waiting, and now they're not paying the price of a ticket plus all the popcorn and pop that they're gonna get. I know we were talking about it on the crossover for Chris, just for him and his wife to go see a movie, not get popcorn and pop. It's like, and take the kids and everything. It's close to $100 almost, and that's just for when that's even you add in the popcorn. Well, actually, you add in, what do you say? You add in the cost of a babysitter, you add in the cost of a dinner, and then you go to the movie. Like it's it's so, and he's not wrong. You know, like I've got the Regal Unlimited, so I pay a 50-cent surcharge to get my movie on my app. Um, or and then I get a assigned seat, but then I also go get popcorn, but I get 10% off. So I'm still paying like $15 for a popcorn and pop. And that's if it's just directly from them. If I have a bucket that I had to pay for, that's $25. But I get free refills on the popcorn and pop there. So essentially, I'm seeing a movie if it's with that popcorn and pop bucket, the theater bucket. Like I'm seeing a movie for 50 cents, which is
Yeah.
great because they already got my money for the subscription. But at the same time, though, I do see a lot of movies. So me getting the popcorn tin buckets every new movie makes sense for me because I'm going there constantly and I can
Yeah,
reuse.
you cost balance. Eventually, you get to pretty close to outweighing like
But
what
I
it would
mean,
cost for the
yeah,
10.
I kind of veered away. While the Suicide Squad movie being released, I mean, it wasn't the first one. Like
Wonder Woman
you had
84 as
Wonder Woman
well.
84, you had a couple other HBO Warner Brothers movies that were on there as well. I think Godzilla versus
Godzilla
Kong was
versus
there.
Mortal Kombat as well.
More combos on there. So like
Snyder Cut.
obviously, yeah. Well, that was
Well,
exclusive.
that day and date, but yes, Snyder
Yeah.
Cut was there as well. Yeah.
But no, it's one of those things where for me, like I went and saw the Suicide Squad in theaters first
Same.
before I watched it on Max. What benefited me is I saw it in theaters. All right, cool. Now I want to watch it again tomorrow. I'm instead of paying the money to see in theaters, now I can watch it here. While it is, like I said, while it's good to have that model, it's bad because the fans, the viewers, the subscribers will now wait. And I've said it before. I've got plenty of friends who didn't go see Blue Beetle because they're like, well, I'm just gonna wait the 30 to 90 days to watch it on Max because I can.
Yeah, like the payroll guy who I go to help me with anytime I have a payroll overpayment that I have to contact. He came by and I asked him was he going to watch Blue Beetle when it went to streaming was his answer. Before we keep into this topic, let's take our first ad break of the evening. Listeners, we're an ad supported network. We don't pick the ads or volume. Maybe a quick 3 count to adjust your volume, and we'll be right back in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Okay, Joe. Uh, I want to talk about as well. What do you think? Because I did see a couple tweets. Maybe it was Pud 33. Apologies if I'm throwing this take to you that you didn't have, but I think it was him saying 400 to 500 million for Superman Legacy would be considered successful.
Really?
Yeah, and that was my first initial thought. Like my thought is it has to do over over like almost 700 million. It has to be close to the Batman to for any sort of confidence to be felt.
I guess it really depends on how much it's gonna take to make the movie. Because we're getting to the point now where having it. How much was Flash again? That was like 300.
No, well, there's a news item about that. There's an addendum to
That's
how
right.
much it
That's
costs.
right.
Yeah,
It was like 200. Sorry.
200.
Like I don't think Superman Legacy is going to be 200 million to make.
I think it'll be close if you want to have like I'm pretty sure Man of Steel was in 200 million ish category, and like I said, I want to watch a Superman film that I watch Man of Steel. If I put Man of Steel in right now, you don't have to like the ending. The film you look at it holds up like it was made today. Like there's not any like
Yeah.
wacky CGI that would be like, oh, this is so terrible, it takes me out of it at all. You might not like the ending. I don't mind that at all, but
I don't know. I just maybe it's just me being.
I think you would be
I don't
right
know.
too, though, Joe, because just the progression of
Doesn't need to
time.
be
That's 10 years
expensive.
ago. You think it'd be cheaper to make some of the stuff.
Well,
I
sure. I just think it doesn't need to be. Yes, it just doesn't even need to be as expensive. I've seen great, great films shot on iPhones that cost you what $100,000. Like
yeah.
I don't know.
I
It
just
it doesn't need to be so expensive. So
no.
that number just seems outrageous to me because I don't think it needs to be that much. But yeah, Andrew's saying 700 million for sure. I don't know.
I would think that they would like to see Superman do better than the one that
Oh,
preceded it.
sure. But I
Like
don't think it needs to be that just to be successful. I think it just needs to maybe
Sorry,
like say,
what
say
would
this 200 million. Say
what
say
would the studios and what would the fan? There you go. That should be my better question
okay.
because that is what kind of played in last time they were starting the universe here. What would the studio and what would the fans think would be
Well,
successful?
studio's always going to say higher
Hmm.
because they want money.
Yeah. No,
Um,
well, but you're building a your universe, so you're not expecting like a grand slam. Iron Man didn't even like do
no, but the Iron
gangbusters.
Man, no one knew Iron Man was going to be building a universe
Yeah.
until it started building a universe.
Well, you're gonna
This
see
is
like 75 heroes in this thing, so you're gonna.
this is specifically going out to build a universe. So, in my opinion, yes, the companies go want 7, 800, a billion to call it a success. Me personally, I think, I mean, if it's 200 million to make,
Mhm.
rough estimate, you say 3 times, so 600 million. 600 million, a success.
I would call it, like I
500,
said,
500
700
million be a success.
million. I think 700 million would be like what I would hope to see from this, especially like you just did a Batman, just straight up Batman. I know Batman is a uh,
Batman's an IP everybody knows and
bit more
loves.
money maker than Superman. No offense, Superman fans. You know he's the first, but still,
There's a reason
Batman.
why there are 12 Batman books and only 3 Superman books out. Just
Yeah,
saying.
Batman's the shit. Like everyone thinks Batman's the shit, but again, it's how quick into this. I want it to make seven. Like I want to get this down. I want Superman Legacy to be fantastic. I want it to make like 700 plus million. So because I don't want to go through another course correction in 4 movies. Like I
I
really don't.
think this time they're not going to, well, actually, I shouldn't say that because of we don't know what if they're going to renew Gunn's contract after the
That
4
is one too, Andrew, because Andrew says if Aquaman can do 1 billion, I would hope that Superman Legacy could get close to that. I
Well,
wouldn't
the
say a
first Aquaman
billion.
I,
It's too you can't say it was like it's so weird how that happened because Justice League had just happened and it was a bomb and everyone was like, "This is going to be terrible." How many people did I hear say Aquaman needs to move? Mary Poppins is going to destroy it.
but I also think correct. Everybody was looking forward to Mary Poppins. I mean, I still haven't seen it, but
I haven't.
it also when it came out, Star Wars was done. You know, they had no more Star Wars movies coming out, so it just ate up December.
It also 2 weeks before it came to the U.S., it went internationally and it made the
Correct,
bulk
and
of its
that's where it
money
got a lot of its money. Yeah,
internationally because it's not even looking at the top openings. It's not even in the top 5. It opened at 67 million domestically. So, just a little bit above Black Adam, but that had the legs and it opened overseas first. So, uh, yeah, I I
we'll
don't know
see.
where
Who
they
knows?
go from here. I really don't, Joe.
We
Randy,
need to see. We need to see what's. I mean, once the strikes are done and we start actually Gun can actually start working on it properly, we'll see what happens.
Randy says Superman Legacy is in trouble, hence the recent doubts about it from Screen Rant to THR to John Campia. I wouldn't say that yet, Randy. It depends on
Again,
how they're.
nothing's happening, so let's wait to
Well,
see.
yes, yes and no because I did, like I said, I read about the Superman Lives, and they just kept coming in and getting with meeting with the studio heads, and every month it was a previous failure, previous box office bomb to the point where they didn't do the
True.
movie
Yes.
anymore.
Yeah.
So it can happen if they have a stretch of terrible run movies where they're like broke. But I don't foresee that happening. And
Well, I don't
John
know. We don't have a
Campia,
lot coming out next year. We Warner Brothers has Dune, has Wonka, has Aquaman is still technically this year, so we'll see. Um, I'm sure they got
Esbub
some
said,
more.
Esbub says, I saw Mary Poppins in theaters and there was only like 5 people there. Esbubs, that sounds like my last 4 trips to the DC films for DC films, to be honest with you.
Ironically, that sounds like my second day trips to movies, which is so I see the movies on Thursdays, and then Fridays is the not many people in theaters. I don't know why.
It doesn't have to hit a billion to be successful, Andrew says. And Randy says, Superman Legacy has to make at least as much as the Batman, and it's hard to see that. Well, I am in the camp, Randy, that it should make at least 700 million for to start off the universe and be big for rebooting and doing all this stuff. But again, there would be argument for rebooting anyway because of the brand. Like, the people associate these characters with this brand. And then there's the whole Wonder Woman fiasco of Wonder Woman 3. Is it even going to be made? I
Yeah,
don't
that is
know.
a whole like. Yes, I
can
am
of
COVID.
worms.
No, you're not. What's going on?
And the longer the strike is, the less likely that we'll see Superman in 2025. We could even get it pushed back to 2026. There is no sign that the strike is going to go ending anytime soon. It was 2025, right? That it was
Yeah,
supposed to drop.
because
Yeah.
I was thinking about that too. They're taking
You
to the
look at me. I was like,
virtual.
did I do the math wrong there?
I no, you did. I did the math wrong. That one was on me.
uh,
So I don't know.
so yeah, I want it to be successful. I want to enjoy the film. That's first and foremost. But
Exactly.
again, I do laugh at how quickly they were ready to reset everything, and roll the dice again, to get to this point because of the Hamada reset. You can just look at the box office. Obviously, COVID hit, but
It
some
didn't.
rough times
Yeah.
there, for the box office for that pivot. Now you're pivoting away from your well-established heroes for the most part, and if Wonder Woman 84, uh, didn't strike in COVID, who knows if it was even about? I don't think it would have did well, to getting those multiple viewings that the first Wonder Woman got from people. So I don't
Yeah.
think it would have been Wonder Woman the first film. So in a way, I do think that you kind of avoided a potential disaster there by having it go up day and date.
Yeah.
Uh,
Maybe.
Randy says, if Aquaman 2 bombs, Gun and Discovery will shake up Phase 1. Projects will be axed, Superman Legacy will be delayed, and B&B will be the first DC U film.
I don't think
I'm
so because Aquaman 2 is not a gun project.
Yeah, and it's not a DCU project. It's
Yeah.
basically the last thing of DCEU, and they're kind of rolling the dice on this film. The first Aquaman was with a bunch of chaos and disaster in DC, and it managed to be a hit for us. So even if we roll
Jason
this
Momoa
out,
brings in the people.
we might get our money back at the very least, because it's a sunk cost thing at this point, Randy, with how much they already had put in this film when the new regime change was implemented. I try to think what else is there
I said,
with
worst case, it gets bumped to next year, which, as
projects
of right
will
now,
be.
WB has said is sticking where it's at, but that could easily change in a matter of weeks.
And the only shakeup I see is, I don't think Gun and Discovery will shake up Phase 1. If there's going to be a shakeup now, Randy, I think it's going to be Discovery shaking up and either selling WB to, like, selling it to another, like an Apple, an Amazon, another buyer, or Zaslav goes in a new direction entirely. I don't see him mixing up. There's stuff in Phase 1 we haven't seen yet, but I don't think Superman's going to be delayed.
Correct.
uh, World's Biggest Geek says, "Do you guys think that David should still release his version of the Suicide Squad that he keeps talking about, where Steppenwolf was supposed to be there talking to the Enchantress?" I'm going to quell that for a second. There, World's Biggest Geek. That was in the. That was not in the film. I don't think. I think that was pre-shooting. That was pre everything
Oh,
was
that was
cut.
one of the things that got cut
Cut,
on
like
on the
the
storyboard.
tying into the mother boxes and all that.
Because
I don't
I
think
remember
you
the
see Steppenwolf in the design pre-art, the storyboards. There's a
yeah,
story, not
storyboard.
storyboards, or visual
No, no
concept art. I think it
storyboards.
was.
Yeah. No,
And
well, because
yeah, you see him
I
there.
remember what the oh, what were the
The
henchmen
only
called?
way that works is if he's allowed to do something with VFX to put that in there. He had to finish cut. I watched him. It was so heartbreaking. Biggest geek. I watched him on John Bernathal's podcast, and he was talking about Suicide Squad and how much it gutted him, being like the negative reaction to BVS. They're like, okay, we're going to take David Ayer's film and make it a comedy, and he wasn't allowed to say anything. Anytime he said anything, it got out to the press that he was disgruntled, hard to work with, and essentially he was shut out. So it was pretty heartbreaking. I'd like to see it put out. He did mention that he was talking Gunn, and Gunn wants a couple hits first, couple films in the DCU before he allows him to do that. I do think eventually we will get that. I don't think it's a bad thing to give us another cut of the film. I do think it's going to cost a little time, but more for him. It said the VFX have to be put in, but everything else is done. Like he said he shows it to people, and they're like, "Damn!" And not gonna lie, we've gotten one of those experiences.
Exactly.
A lot of people told me it wasn't going to be as what I wanted to see. It's not going to be as good. And spoiler, it was everything I wanted and more. And I can't believe, like, yes, it was completely different from what we saw. So
So yeah, I think it will. I want it to happen. I'm not gonna say it will happen. I want it to happen, but as of right now, it's probably not gonna happen.
Randy says Discovery knows that Cornswit's casting did not trend on X, but Gal's rumored return blew up the internet as the rumored Krasinski's Batman casting. I'm gonna
I mean,
say X is a little unreliable at the moment. Like
you mean
getting a
Twitter?
little,
Fuck X.
getting a little shoddy there. But Krasinski as Batman, I am never, ever in a million years going to give any credibility to a man that sits there and argues with Jay Oliva, who worked storyboarding Ben Affleck's Batman movie, the details about Ben Affleck's Batman movie to him. So Bill Jett, the BOF site, that is the guy who put out the Krasinski is going to be Batman jarble.
I didn't even
And
hear that until
yeah,
today.
that kind of spread around. I thought honestly, Joe, I honestly thought that it was like I woke up in a fever haze and like just saw Twitter and was like, no, like I thought it was a
Doesn't
dream.
help that you had your sick this
I
weekend.
was like, well, this is not real, right? And then the source came out, and I'm like, guys, come on, like that is one. And then it spreads. Obviously, this person tells this person, and you
Yeah.
know, but no, I don't think
Look, just
John
look at
Krasinski is going to be
perfect
bad.
example is Taylor Swift as Dazzler. That's been popping up since
Yes,
the 2 X-Men movies ago.
ain't
So,
no way you're going to be able to pay her quota for have her in that
well,
character.
I would say ain't no
Ain't no
way.
way you're
You
going
could
to
get
pay
her
that.
for a quick little like.
It's gonna
Or
cost you, Joe.
quick,
You're
oh
gonna have to
yeah,
back up
well,
that pretty strong.
and they could, they would,
And I
they got
want to
the
say,
money.
Randy, I want to say I wouldn't hate John Krasinski as Batman. Like I'm not gonna. I'm gonna wait till I actually see the actor perform, like to take on the role before I like not. I just don't think he's going to play that role. Like I just don't think that's who they're going for. Maybe honestly, Jake Gyllenhaal would be one that comes to mind. I think he's a little older, like a little younger. Sorry, 34, 35, maybe. I could
Gyllenhaal?
be wrong.
Oh, he's
Is
in his
he
like late 30s, early 40s.
really?
Yeah.
I feel like it's just these guys have been around so long now. I don't know the concept of time. What's your age, Jake Gyllenhaal? 1980. God, he's older than me. Forget everything I just said, Randy, about the potential. And World's Biggest
Uh,
Geek says Superman Legacy will have a lot of surprises in the movie with their characters such as Mr. Terrific, Hot Girl, Metamorpho, and the Authority. I think that's where James Gunn wants to start the universe. I'm excited to see those characters as well. I'm really excited to see another Superman film and like characters like Metamorpho, Hot Girl. I've just started watching Justice League, the animated series, with my son. Definitely
nice.
covering that on Animation Nation. So I've watched few of these characters, Metamorpho as well, and Hot Girl lately that just immediately jumped out at me. I'm excited for Superman Legacy. I know people are dogging on the cameos, but no, I don't.
We're big enough DC nerds that doesn't matter if people are bombing it. We're gonna go see the movies.
But I
We're
will
gonna be
say too,
excited.
Joe, my girlfriend coming out and saying, "Babe, we should go see a movie soon. Hold on, let me bring up Rotten Tomatoes to see what's good that's out." A part of me nearly died inside. Like a little part of me died inside.
That does
Like,
hurt. Actually,
oh,
tell you what,
Allison. But that is the general audience. Allison is not in this, unless it was a Harry Potter thing. Allison is not in this. Harry Potter remake, Allison, not a fan. Not a fan. Does not want that to happen. So,
I
uh,
will give a shout out to another podcast, Film Sack. This past weekend, they did an episode talking about ratings and people's basic thoughts on them and what they like. There's like 4 different stages of people coming to the movies, and one of them that talked about was ratings from a website. Like if you have if you go and see their review and they're bombing on it, but you don't know these people and you go watch it like, oh, I really actually like this. But you tend to how did Scott say it? You tend to start finding uh reviews that you like and you follow and you're actually trusting their sources, and you start to listen to them when they talk. Yeah, go Film Sack, go check out their latest episode. Pretty good episode. Little
ooh,
round table. They what they do is they review older movies, not just superhero movies, just movies in general. They have a nice plethora of back catalog
oh,
there, and
nice.
I've been listening to them for like 10 years now.
I'm gonna have to check them out, Joe.
Yeah. So yeah,
But yeah, I'm excited. I hope that DC is going to be stronger going forward. But I think that pretty much wraps up the discussion, and we're gonna have to get into some of my Adventures with Superman talk because I can't hold it in any
Yeah.
longer. I watched him. But before we do that, Joe, let's take another ad break. Listeners, we're an ad-supported network. We don't pick the ads or the volume. I'm going to give you a quick 3 count to adjust your volume, and we'll be right back in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Okay, Joe, we got 2 episodes of my Adventures with Superman that we because we didn't get to talk about one last week as we had a movie review.
Yep. And then we didn't come on Monday.
No, so I have to ask, Joe, right off the top, what do you think about these latest 2 episodes?
Not bad. Like, still not my favorite. Like, I think
Oh.
the one with the multiverse is probably my favorite. But no, this was fun. We're seeing more of the past. I was very not confused, but the general, whom I thought was somebody else. I this is this General Lane? Do you think this might be General Lane?
I didn't even think about
They
that.
called him Sam. Now,
And she didn't Lois has not seen him in any of the Joe, you sneaky son of a gun. Son of a
yeah.
gun. We're talking DC. Son of a
Yeah,
gun.
because normally, like, originally, the general is General Wade Ealing,
Yeah, Eiling.
and Waller called him Sam. I think that's Sam Lane.
Which it would be even cooler because I do love these episodes, Joe. I really enjoy them because of the whole story that we've been going through the whole season, and to get this 2-parter and to get to be able to watch it back to back and not have to wait.
Yeah, that's
That
fair.
was what made this really enjoyable for me. We got to like the start of episode 1, and then we got the conclusion. I thought it really flowed well. I love that it's a good
100%.
2-parter, and I'm enjoying the action. I'm enjoying the way this is animated, and Jack Quaid's voice a couple of
Perfect,
times
man. Like, so
starting to get me, dude.
when
Starting to get me. I didn't do the right thing at the very end of the second episode when he goes back. I'm like, dude, dude, and we
when
can hear how
the general has him captured after the first episode and in the second episode, and they're in the room, and he like shows him the memories of them at Smallville,
yeah.
potentially Kansas, allegedly, and the army is getting attacked by the Kryptonian army. Like, who would have thought that? And then Superman's watching, is like, oh my god, like, I'm a weapon. I was
When
here.
when the general sees his face, he's like,
He realizes that, oh, this is not, something's wrong here.
he had no idea that
Yeah,
he's screeching, dude. Like he had no idea he was even sent here.
yeah, yep.
So yeah, I really enjoy this, but and it's very contained. It's you don't hear. I thought with Vicky Vale coming in, I honestly thought we were going to get a Batman reference, and we got
That was
none.
fun.
I
Well,
listened the whole. Nope, there wasn't one Dark Knight, Cape Crusader, nothing about
sure.
even
Like, you
like
here's
this
your
guy
issue.
in Gotham.
The issue is Vicky Vale was older because
Yeah,
she worked with Perry, and Batman Bruce Wayne is the same age as like Lois and Clark.
how do we know?
Usually is the same age. Okay, calm down.
Yeah, you are right. You are right. Yeah, I'm sorry. Semantics there, Joe. Semantics.
No, you
But
good. You good.
I I was listening very attentively when you said Vicky Vale. When they said Vicky Vale, my ears perked up, and I listened for the
Like,
rest of the
Gotham,
episode.
Batman. Let's go. What's going on?
Are we going to no? Are we going to lay some foundation for us seeing him next season? Her saying Batman can't be trusted. Maybe this article might have an effect on somebody that might have to come over next season to talk to Superman. I don't.
Yeah,
That was just my thought. And now, not saying this show needs to have Batman at all. I'm really loving this show, but still, that was one thing I did really enjoy. Lois's arc in these 2 episodes, and I'm really interested to see what's going to happen with Jimmy,
yeah. Finding the sphere.
the sphere at the end. Uh, I'm trying to think of some of the big stuff. Is there anything big? Like we have to get into the whole.
I mean,
Uh,
all of the escapees, Task Force X escaped. Uh, uh, Not Ivo as Parasite wreaked havoc on Metropolis, and Metropolis themselves, uh, basically saved Superman.
that was fantastic, Joe. Where Lois bro, that was like core Superman, and they all
Yeah.
shot like you could hear them all saying like "Go Superman, go Superman,"
Yep.
especially from hearing them earlier saying "Go home" and all that. I That was great, and again, Jack Quaid really knocked it out with the voice here. I
I also think this is gonna be because Perry was watching it as well. I think it's gonna be one of those things where he sees Lois's dedication and he's going to bump her up to a actual reporter. Actually, probably
yeah,
bump Lois and Jimmy up to reporters and photographers and bump them up because Clark wasn't there. So
yeah, and
it would
Clark
get them
has
up.
kind of got occupied, but I did enjoy. He gets a super hearing at the start of this first episode,
Mhm.
and I enjoy how he's
Yeah,
just gone backwards, drinking coffee, like trying to save everybody because he can hear everybody. He's like, they all need help.
yeah.
And so yeah, those are some nice touches. The fights when all of the people he's already encountered throughout the season fight him, like how's Deathstroke moving? How are some of these people moving as fast as they're moving, like fast
The
as
suits.
Superman in their jetpacks? Like
The suits give him the power.
Kryptonian tech. God damn it. Okay, I'm answering my own questions here as we move
Yeah,
along.
we got one episode left. Looking forward to this week. Yeah, it's gonna be good.
The other, well, I want to talk about one other thing, which is Waller replaces the general at the end.
Yeah,
She takes over Task Force X, and the wild thing is, I thought she was going to like jail him or arrest him or kill him. No, she's going to send him out on a mission to kill Superman at the end
yeah.
with the Omega cannon.
Interesting. Interesting.
I'm
I don't think he's
really,
gonna do it, but
no, I don't think so as well. I do think he could get shot, not him, Superman, by somebody else. But I again, I thought that was great. And Jimmy finding the
the
kryptonite
sphere.
and
Yep.
sphere showing evil Superman and kryptonite. So I'm wondering what that's going to do. I would like for Jimmy to just come straight up and talk to Clark and show him this. And
I expected Lois to do that.
yeah,
Uh,
that's why I would like to see Jimmy do it because it's going to throw a little bit of doubt into Lois because he's
yeah,
finding he's going to go talk to Clark first. I think Jimmy's going to be straight on the up and up with Clark about this.
I don't know. We'll see.
It really enjoyable, and the final episode is titled "Hearts of the Fathers." So,
Hmm. Okay.
uh, yeah, can't wait to see that,
Yeah.
Joe.
Not Friday.
We we have let's get into some of the news before we talk about Smallville and jet out of here. We have some sad news, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Arlene Sorkin, the original voice and inspiration for Harley Quinn on Batman the Animated Series, has died at the age of 67. She was
Get
also
out of the show.
known for Days of Our Lives as well.
Yeah, that's where
So
Paul Dini and Bruce Tim. That's
yeah,
where they
I
saw
think
her on Days of Our Lives.
she was in there as a clown,
Yep.
maybe I think, and that was
Yeah, that's the pictures that been going around. I think it was her role there. She whatever role she had. Uh,
Calliope Jones in the
sure.
long run soap opera.
Yeah. So
But she was best known for the voice and inspiration of the iconic antagonist Harley Quinn in Batman the Animated Series.
yeah. Yeah, that sucks. That's two down now. Not great.
Tough, tough, tough. It's sad. Will always have all the terrific work that she gave us. So
Mhm.
and she'll live on. Like I said, they noted her here too for the inspiration of Harley Quinn, which has become such an iconic character. Just sad, Joe. Like you said, we've lost a couple uh, people with the show there. And always sad thing. Go back and revisit. It would be my
Yep.
suggestion there. We have news that Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is not moving anywhere.
Yeah, I brought this up earlier. WB is saying that we'll see what happens in a couple weeks. If this strike is, which again, I think the strikes are going to be going on until I'll be surprised if they
It's a
resolve
way
before
scales
Thanksgiving.
thing too, Joe, where they're going to need, especially if, if this was Disney, if this was Amazon, if this was literally any other filmmaking company outside of one of those like auteur, like small independent ones, I would say yes. But WBD is in such financial distress and has such cash flow problems,
Yeah,
and which makes what they did with Dune even the more shocking, where you had 3 weeks there of prime real estate where there's no other films, and you took IMAX screens away from an MCU film,
but they pushed it because their actors can't promote it.
Yes, but again, there's a cost
Not that
plus
they need
cost.
to, because
but you can't do that with other films because you need something coming in. It's not like there's a pandemic where no one's going. And when you see what happened with Barbie or Oppenheimer, where you actually get people anyway,
well, yeah,
it
but they had
some stuff book like
beforehand.
recorded,
Yeah,
pre-recorded, yes,
like
but
this did
still,
nothing. Like these movies in this back half of this year have nothing.
Blue Beetle just had the director.
Oh, did he? Nice. Okay,
Yeah, he
I know
did
that.
some interviews. Yes, I watched him do a couple interviews. So, yeah, we haven't seen a trailer yet, which is why I'm like, like
I think it's gonna move. I honestly think it's gonna move,
you
which will
think
suck
that?
because there's nothing else for this year. Which fine, whatever. But like WB needs to make the smart move, and I don't know the rest of the movies they have coming out this year, but this is a high public movie that needs to have your actors out promoting it. And if you can't because of strikes, it's gonna hurt you.
Yes, it is. It's just like I said, in a like a normal operated, a well-run, well-oiled machine, there will be no question about moving this back.
Yeah.
But the WBD, we don't have much cash. We're here canceling film projects to cut some tax losses, and then you see their stock price and it's been shit show
I
after shit
mean,
show after
honestly,
shit
all of them
show.
have been.
Yeah,
Disney's
but
stock prices have
Barbie is
too.
the only thing that I can even look like. Barbie is basically like, okay,
Barbie gave them a bump,
Disney's
but
is
like,
working from the thing about Disney is they're working from like parks to and now they're
sure,
in gambling and sports. They have ESPN, so it's
Disney's got their hands in a lot of things. One
a
might
lot
say
of things, which
they've
is
got a
their
monopoly, but it's they yes, their movie stuff is having some issues.
yeah, there is. That made me laugh. But
But
they could diversify too much. But again, WBD just doesn't have any other cash flow ways
right,
besides having this stuff come in. I, I will say
because they're not getting squat for their streaming service.
they have their products licensed out in Canada too. If like there's Justice League, Batman the animated series, and everything on Netflix and on Amazon Prime. I don't even know how they do it. I don't
Well,
know how that's even
look at
possible.
the Batman Cape Crusader that they were going to have coming out. Oh, they can't do it on Max anymore. Now they're pushing it to Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime is going to be putting it out.
Randy says one reason I think Phase One will be scaled back is that WBD does not have the money and will
Okay,
have less money after a strike settled with the added cost. Now they're
Randy.
only
Oh,
asking for 1% of
yeah,
the whole thing. So that is a talking point that the studios throw out there too. I I think that it all depends on how successful the first couple films are, Randy. I know that Marvel had their phase one laid out. They didn't give it to us right away or anything, but a lot of it hinged on how successful the first few films were. Now, they didn't take as much for loss, but Incredible Hulk, it didn't make as much, but they had partners with that in terms of Universal. So
sure.
you're not taking as much profit, but in this case, you're not taking as much of a hit. So
But you do bring up a good point, Randy. I didn't think
yes,
of
you do.
that aspect of it.
There is a possibility there 100%, especially like Randy says about Superman Legacy. If you don't push it back and it's not a success, I don't know what happens going forward with your universe. Like I don't know if James Mangold's Swamp Thing gets made. I don't know how many things are going to be up and running while Superman's filming and
Or
then done
worst case,
filming, get out.
everything gets pushed back. Like
Yeah,
the chapter one or phase one or act one, whatever it's being called, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's chapter one, is just gonna be longer than they intended because everything has been like pushed to until they have money to actually make the films.
I agree, Joe. We have I'll give some rapid fire news to you now, Joe. John Cena will be voicing Peacemaker in Mortal Kombat 1. Do you care?
I mean, great. I'm not gonna play the game.
More power to the character, but I'm with you on that one. I'm not going to play the game, but I did think it was awesome. Maybe I'll see a YouTube video or two of John Cena's voice acting with that. I have seen those for Injustice game and Mortal Kombat games come up before. I actually watched, I think, all of the cutscenes of one of the Mortal Kombat games, like put together. It was like where Liu Kang was evil. Like I just got distracted on YouTube, clicked it, and watched like 45 minutes
Sure.
of it. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, like this is kind of interesting. Like maybe I'll buy this game, and
Oh, you're
never
rapid
got back
fire
to it.
there.
But yeah, still nice to see Peacemaker hit with the established audience. And like I was talking about with Joe before, the rumors of the Flash's budget were greatly exaggerated. Apparently, according to the accurate figure was around 200 million, and THR has updated their article to reflect this development. I think I like just point that out there where we talked about their article before.
Yeah.
Uh, you
Weird
know,
how we do that. It's like we read the stuff firsthand, and then it just kind of comes out. Well, I
or,
usually spout it out at the wrong time.
or weird, but it's considered journalism anymore. Sometimes people fact check their things before they put them out in
What?
stories, but
Who does that?
that doesn't get as many clicks, Joe. I don't
The
think.
Republicans. Never mind.
Now, I selfishly put this in here in the Travis was right part of the news here because I talked
You were
about
so
this.
excited.
I
You were
talked about
so
this
excited.
because that's all I thought about when I first saw it was when the Blue Beetle Scarab in Blue Beetle was coming towards, I don't know if it was going towards Earth, it hit a green thing and then changed course a little bit. I thought that it was a Green Lantern's ring, I thought. Now, we're getting told here it was a Green Lantern. Uh, Partly right,
You get half
maybe
credit. If it's
half
just a
credit.
lantern, you get half
I
credit.
did think it was a lantern ring, so yeah, I'm not gonna lie here and say I thought it was a lantern. I thought it was a lantern ring, but still cool nonetheless. And DCU maybe. And Joe, this is the one that gave me the most confusion. It's the what they're talking about with the plan for Ted Cord, sorry, in Blue Beetle. Well, from introducing him, this was a quote here, and it was, and by introducing the character of Jenny Cord, played by the actress that played her, Bruna, we wanted to keep the energy of Ted Cord alive. We really wanted to find a way to bring Ted Cord back. It not only be a part of the family drama that we've explored in the movie, but canonically, it's also something very special. We've always liked the relationship between Jaime Reyes and Ted Cord as a mentor, but also Booster Gold. So when James Gunn and Peter Safran came into power, they already promised the whole idea of exploring Booster Gold, and it helped us to keep that idea that Ted Cord is still alive. Now, where is he? Well, what happens next is up to the success of the film. Oh.
Yeah.
Uh, oh. The movie has to perform in the eyes of the studio. I don't want to read this anymore. So, in my mind, if the movie can perform, there's more adventures to come for Jaime Reyes, and Ted Cord is
Again,
part of that setup.
all that tells me is that Booster Gold and Ted Cord, Michael Carter and Ted Cord went on an adventure somewhere, and he lost them in time.
And if Blue Beetle had 100 million opening week in the US, you'd already be hearing about.
Honestly, if it would just gotten like 70 million opening
Yeah, I
weekends,
know.
it would have been good. But yeah,
I think that's 100 million would have got the immediate announcement of a Booster Gold Blue
greenlit
Beetle
sequel. Yeah,
series or something. Yeah, that's a little sad, but again, I hope we see the character. We've already speculated on that going forward. And the most sad thing of all, Joe, the final hit thing here is apparently it's official. Chris McKay's Nightwing movie is reportedly now dead at
this,
DC. I'm not laughing
this
at
is
him.
my shock face. Looks just like my normal face
Oh, this was
because they
like
can't get Nightwing off the ground.
also this was like from the DCU, the first DCEU timeline.
There's that too.
Like this was so long ago. No one thought this was. We didn't need this announcement. Leave poor Chris McKay alone. Like that is a sin to do that. Like just let it be.
Uh,
Oh, it's sad. But like Joe said, can we get this off the ground at some point?
look. I guess it's you have to have the Graysons just on the ground because
Ooh, he went there. He went there. Flying Graysons, they are not sometimes, Joe.
nope.
They are not flying
Hey,
into the ground.
before we do Smallville retro, do we want to do the drawing real quick?
Yes, we will. We have to spin the wheel. Do have
All right.
another entry. We have World's Biggest Geek who
Oh,
commented
do I need
in
to
the chat as well. And S Pubs.
I just figured this out a minute ago.
Let me give you some time as I open up our intro, our Smallville retro recaps.
Okay,
Because
fine, whatever.
we had 2 episodes while we were off, Joe. We had Perry and Relic, and I'm not gonna lie, one of these 2 is not like the other, in my opinion. So I threw it to Joe, asking Joe if he would want to do 1 or 2. So we're going to talk about Perry, but before we do that, Joe has the wheel.
Who was the other one? Sorry,
S Bubs and World's Biggest Geek,
World's Biggest Geek.
and you guys hit me up with your address, and this will get sent when I leave the city on Friday.
There we go. All right, click the
Oh,
spin.
if you're not looking,
Am I
Thy
on?
Kingdom Come.
Hold on. Why not? Okay, yeah. There we go. Add to the stream.
Woo! Spin that
People can see.
wheel.
All righty. Don't mind the ads. State Farm is there.
Can I make the no?
I mean, it's already making itself. So. Philip.
Bill.
You got it, buddy.
Woo! So
All
Phil,
you.
I will message you to get your information, and I'll get this sent out to you super quickly. Awesome. And thank everyone. Like I said, we'll have another one, I guess, for Aquaman. I have some Aquaman related content. Maybe if Doom Patrol ever gets discovered from the wherever it's locked up, maybe I have some Doom Patrol things as well.
We have Doom Patrol still.
I vaguely I'm going to have to watch a man recap.
What's going on?
I have to watch a man recaps on the first half. I don't remember or listen to every one of our episodes just to get a. Yeah, it's rough, Joe.
All right, Smallville.
Some quick thoughts on Perry, because I absolutely loved this when I watched this back in the day, and I watched this again and absolutely loved it again. I love the guy who plays Perry. Fun fact, he's actually married to Clark's mom in this.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think I knew that. I feel like I knew
and
that.
I love this character. I loved everything about this episode. It was really good.
Out of the two, is definitely the better one.
I can't stand period piece things like Relic. Oh my god, that was.
I love that stuff.
Oh, I hate when you take. Do you know what the most frustrating thing about? Why the hell didn't they put Michael Rosenbaum as Lex's
ancestor?
Like Clark can be Clark's ancestor. Lana can be Lana's ancestor, but no. And for that matter, make freaking Jonathan the ancestor. Why did you get this?
I'm happy they didn't have him as Hiram, because that would have been really confusing. But,
that was frustrating. Compared to Perry, sorry.
Compared to Perry, it definitely was lackluster. But I did like that it ultimately showed that Jor-El met the Kents beforehand, saw that they were kind people, and purposely sent Clark to the Kents,
which gets revisited multiple times in this show.
It did.
It did. A lot better times. But yes, this does lay the foundation for that. Joe's right, and that was one of my favorite things about this episode. That is right, Joe, because it doesn't make it a random occurrence. It makes it more. And I'm pretty sure I watched Tocqueville, and the creator said as much. They called him, and he said that's why. Because Roseman was like, "Yeah, I don't understand why you had this episode," and he's like, we really like this episode. It basically most times in comics it was just happenstance that the Kents found Superman, Clark. But literally in this one, we were like, Jor-El's this super scientist, and he's just gonna be like, yeah, let's just send it to a planet and chance it. He's like, no, he'll probably go. He's like space explorer too. He'd probably go look at the place for his doomsday plan. So again, really liked it. Really liked that explanation and that little part of it, but. The Perry one, I loved how he bounced back and forth off all different characters, getting threatened by Lex. It was a smorgasbord. That truck lands in front of him, and he pours out.
That was.
I'm like,
that was pretty fun.
Touche. That's like a John Glover move, where he's not like the one where he picked up a peach a couple episodes ago and he was eating it. It's the same kind of thing here. You're like, he wasn't told that. He's just doing that for his character. And even though this guy's only in one episode, I think he might be in another one. Again, really love this episode, Joe.
Okay.
World's Biggest Geek asks us, which actor do you think would make a perfect Blue Beetle if he would ever return? Jason Sudeikis or James Marsden to teach Reyes the ropes? You mean for Ted Kord? I've already staked out my Jason Sudeikis on that one.
Sudeikis would be fine. I feel like you had said that it definitely looked and maybe even sounded like.
I thought it sounded. I didn't know if it looked, but I thought it sounded like him. But again, I think that's more because I saw a couple articles a few weeks prior saying that he was playing Ted Kord, he was cast. Like obviously but I think that came into my mind when I was.
Sudeikis would be fine. Marsden isn't bad either. He's a good actor.
He seems like more of a heroic character than Ted Kord, like more of a Captain America type. Now I don't know what that would be in the D. You know what? Actually, I think Marsden would be really good as Captain Atom.
Like Nathaniel Adam?
Yeah, like Captain Atom.
Oh. That's not bad, actually.
No, like I do think that he has that kind of same way for Cyclops. You know what I mean? Like he has that way about him where, especially, he has the hair too. Like his hair actually matches up because his
Well, and
hair.
like I mean, I've seen them more recently in the Sonic movies, and so
Yes,
he's more jovial there.
yeah,
He's not as serious.
yeah.
Whereas
That's why
obviously
I'm sorry. Yeah,
in X Men he was serious
yeah, and
for the
that's what
most
I'm
part.
basing it off of more than Sonic. Even though I did watch Sonic as well,
Okay.
but I thought that would. Sudeikis will get mine because I think he could do the humor well, depending on how you want to play Cord bouncing off of Booster Gold.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that he
It's
could
good.
play that.
Honestly, I think it might depend on who you have as gold as
Yeah,
Michael Carter.
and myself and Joe, world's biggest geek, we're people too that if we think someone would be good, we're never going to judge who they cast until we actually see them do the performance. Because I thought Susan Sarandon was going to be a really good villain.
Yeah,
So yeah, I
I guess
wait to
people
judge
want to be there.
performances. Yeah, Joe really loved Perry. Relic again was okay. I'm excited to catch back up on this now going forward. Magnetic is next one, and I really, really thought that was an interesting one. Uh, so when we get to that, when we get to it, but
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, listeners, I think that wraps up everything,
I
Joe.
think
We
we got
gave
it.
away the book. Phil, if you're listening, if you
Yeah.
don't write me by the end of tomorrow, I'll send you a message because we chat on Twitter. So
Okay.
to everyone else that's in here, that was in
Thank you all
the giveaway.
thank you all for being in chat. Thank you all for being in chat for our drawing, and we will do that. What we always do, we do the week before, week of, and then week after normally.
Yeah,
So just always write something in the chat, and you are automatically in the drawing. So obviously our next one right now is Aquaman. We'll have something for that.
we might have a
Um,
ceremony for Doom Patrol,
we
like
might
so,
have
if
to
it's
do
ever if
it
it was
might be
ever
a Doom
found
Patrol
again.
like oh hey it's back, yeah,
It's back, yeah.
here we go.
They
Um,
found it. They found it just for
yeah,
Christmas, just in
God,
time for Christmas.
God, God,
Oh
I
man,
hope not, because that's like a whole year.
I know that would be like it'll be what they did with Superman on crack. Superman Lois season 2.
Ugh.
It'll be like what they
And
did with that on
I'm pretty
crack.
sure Doom Patrol's done, right? Like
Yeah,
they've done filming back in like February.
literally the last thing I heard about Doom Patrol is one of the actors, I think, Madame Rouge said, "I don't know if they're ever going to release that last part." So, not great, Joe. Not great. Especially already done. You're not going to save any money out of that. And I wonder
Well,
what
yeah,
I
so
wonder what Batgirl would have made.
yeah, exactly. All right.
Uh,
Anyway,
thanks, listeners, for joining us. We'll be back next week with more DC Alliance.
bye, y'all.
Later, everyone.